Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about being a patient with a rare disease and what it's like to live with it. I have hereditary spastic paraparesis, which basically means I've got stiffness of the muscles and I've got weakness. And as you can see, I haven't got even the strength to go up and down the ramp to and from the stage. Like most people with a rare disease, you seem to go to a doctor when you think there's something wrong. You don't know what's wrong, the doctor doesn't know what's wrong. So you start off GP to consultant A, not my problem, GP to consultant B, not my problem, GP to consultant C, etc., etc. And eventually you find one that's likely. I'm the only, it's a neurodegenerative disease. It's got an incidence of about 3 in 100,000 in the UK, depending on whether you're well diagnosed or not. So you're not likely to meet anybody, doctors are not likely to meet anybody, and so ignorance is bliss. And eventually, when I was told I got this disease, I don't know whether I'd accepted it or ignored it or what. And then 4 years later, when it began to get a bit awkward walking, I went to my GP and she read the thing and said, oh, well, there's no cure, it's degenerative, you might as well do your own thing because there's no treatment. So I thought, well, I'll try acupuncture and I'll try massage. And being a gobby person, I'll find out what I need to do. So I went on a massage course on how to, what massage muscles were involved in doing that. And I used myself as a guinea pig. I went to the physiotherapist who first of all said, it's not worth it because it's all palliative care and it's not worth any problem. That was 14 years ago. I used myself as a guinea pig, and we started on the basis of, well, if I'm paying you my money for 6 weeks, we'll try it, and if it's worked, it will continue. If it's not worked, we'll give it up. After 6 weeks, we continued and continued and continued, and after about 4 or 5 years, I just happened to be sitting at a table with the Deputy Director of Public Health, who was astounded that the NHS wasn't providing me with any neurophysiotherapy. And so effectively, I saved thousands a year by just that chance meeting. And I think that spells out the randomness of the NHS, that I shouldn't have to be sitting at a table with somebody and getting a different treatment in Stockport that the person in Altrincham doesn't get because they're in Trafford, although it's the next borough. It's in Greater Manchester, and you've got, it's almost like, well, that lot in Stockport get treated, that lot in Altrincham don't. And that's wrong. And you think, well, it's spread out throughout the whole country. So in my pursuit, I decided when I went to see the doctor, I was the only person with my condition on my neurologist list. So I got referred to somewhere in Sheffield, to somebody else I'd met, where they had a centre, and now they've got a centre of excellence set up for HSP. But have a scientific background. I thought that, if you've got a rare disease, there'd be somewhere in England that they'd all go to. And having a neurological rare disease, I assumed it would go to the National Hospital for Neurological Diseases. No. You then become aware of vested interest and competition rather than patient interest, really. And I found that it was much better to go to do my own thing and decide that I wasn't going to be discharged. I was just going to go around because although the hospitals couldn't do anything, whilst I was staying in the loop, any progress that I'd made or they'd made, I was aware of. So I thought, well, it's so easy to say, oh, well, we can't offer you any treatment. You might as well be discharged, and then you don't have to bother coming back again. But then you miss out. You're not handy for the trials. We actually had a discussion with one of the professors at one of the meeting groups I have, where we came along and said, well, why can't HSP people take part in trials? Well, because commercially there's not enough of you. It's quite difficult to get onto a trial, and any medication that's produced, the drug companies won't get any financial commercial benefit. And so you're left to fight your own battle. And effectively, I thought, well, I'm a trustee of our support group, but that was in existence before I joined it. It's got about 380 members. I think in England, according to the population, there should be 1,800 people. But it's finding who they are, because trying to find... It's almost like you've got to make your contact details available to patients who might or might not go to that particular clinic at that particular time. And it's, you know, you can tell some doctors and they forget about it, or they change jobs or whatever. So they might be interested in 1 year, but 5 years later they might be doing something else. And so the information is quite difficult to get around.